liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the glistening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea.
There we have it. Greetings, 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 as I promised. And thank you, Mr. Engineer, Oscar Matthews, for mastering that for us. That is the wonderful sound of the voice tones of Miss Alicia Keys. That's right. Miss Alicia Keys. Am I adding an S? Is it key or keys? Let's make sure of that. Let's go back, go back, go back. What did I do? I just had it in front of me because I wanted to be sure I had the right thing going on. Yes, Alicia Keys with the letter S. Alicia Keys. And we changed from, after we have come into the knowledge of the fact, come on, everyone share. Press the share button and then make sure you are following us on Facebook, and do me the kind favor of making sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That really helps us get the message out. And there, if you believe there is a message, if you believe the message that we have to share is redemptive or at least revolutionary to a point, and it's my belief that before you can have an evolution, a change for the better, if you allow me to define the word, there must, in some instances, be a revolution. This country, the country called America, referred to as America, came out of something called a revolution. It was the disconnection from the country of Great Britain, England more specifically, so that these forebears of this country, fathers and framers, could set out on a voyage to freedom, we were told. And we were told that Christopher Columbus discovered America 1492 or whatever else have you. But I find it hard to reason that you can discover a continent that already has indigenous or aborigines living there, people that are of that continent or of that um, that particular plane. And but that's what we were given. We were told that Christopher Columbus discovered America, and then you have to ask quickly the question: then why did he call the Americas, now that we know it is America, and then name the native or indigenous or aborigines Indians? Well, the reason was because he thought he had discovered or landed in India, and he named the people who were there. You cannot discover a place if there are already inhabitants there. The best you can do is claim the territory, steal the territory. And that's exactly what this country did. And then after stealing this continent of North America, coming from Europe, they found the work rigorous and difficult. That's the reason that you cannot believe about the myth, MYTH, of the first Thanksgiving. You can't believe that these hundreds of tribes of indigenous people who had their homelands upset, had their animals killed, and had many of them by the thousands, hundreds of thousands killed. The disease introduced. These people were living here disease free. Disease was introduced to kill off the Native American Indians, the Native Americans. You cannot believe that there was going to be a happy first Thanksgiving, and they all sat down together and praised God for the pilgrims coming here to take their land and to teach them how to be civilized. That is an abject lie, because the Europeans had no idea how to survive in this native land, which was occupied by the Aborigines or the indigenous people, then known as Indians, later turned Native Americans. Those people were surviving for centuries. Then they had to bring the African from Africa, extract him, somewhere between 10 and 18 million, maybe 20 million, maybe 2 million died in the Middle Passage, somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, where monuments have been resurrected for the ancestors. All of that to tell us that this country was built and based on lies from the very beginning. We were lied to about the role of the Western cowboy. We were told that the Indian was his enemy, when the reality was that the Indian, then called, referred to as Indian, was only defending his native land, and the cowboy was attempting to steal everything from the horses to the land, to the resources of the land, to later the oil in the land. Speaking of resources, all of that, that's just a lie. And then we were taught to pull for whenever we had Hollywood to write screenplays, otherwise known as movies, or the pictures, as they were once known by our people. It was entrenched into our thought process that the white American, the white skinned American, was right, and it was all based on a lie. And we were then shown Tarzan in with involvement of Tinseltown. Everything there is tinsel in terms of the formats being used for the movies and all of the props, just creating ideologies that stuck in the American mindset. And so when you saw Tarzan, you saw a white man on a continent of all Aborigine, dark skinned people. Let's talk about that for a minute. And then later on, you saw a white woman by the name of Jane, and they were together and they were ruling over. What was that telling you? What was that telling you? And so we're here every Monday evening. To cut to the quick, we're here every Monday evening, God willing. And I think next year we may move to every other Monday, or maybe one Monday out of the month. I'm trying to get a better grip on my schedule of time. There are more things I'm being called to do, and I'm just going to take some time and pray about how to approach all of it. And I receive a prophetic word that we have to continue to do this. And I believe the prophet. I believe the word. I'm just having to find the time to do all the things I feel I'm being called on to do. And I ask for you. I covet your prayers as well. And thank you all for your support. Please press share if you haven't already. All the YouTubers, I need you to press share. I need everyone to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I need you to, if you will, type in the chat your favorite, use your favorite emoji. Let's push this needle forward. See, without this interaction in the chat, the algorithms never involve people who are not typically a part of our viewer slash listenership with our program, and I think it's valuable. I think that what we're talking about, again, you're the co-host of this program. Without you, there's not much of a program. So the silence of our friends. Thank you, Alicia Keys, for bringing us in. We stepped away from Tasha Cobbs Leonard, because we've come to discover that many of our that's Black gospel artists, have been swayed and switched over to the Republican Party in support of this present administration, all because of money. And so I'm trying to find and support people who are actually with our cause, and people who are reflecting what I believe to be right and righteousness. Everyone press share and then type in the comment section that you have. Use your favorite emoji. Carolyn Banks is with us. She's liked and shared. Thank you for liking and sharing. This helps us do it on the page first, and then do it on the comment section. Pamela A. Dobbins is here. Shirley Miller is here. A.B. Jones is here. Yes, thank you. Thank you all so much. Wow, short list here, but there are more people who are viewing with us. You're going to like this program. It's probably going to take me 3 top opportunities to get all of this out. But thank you all for being there. E. Hale is here. Bernice Redden is here. Don Wilson is here. Thank you, sir. Therese Givens is here. Who else is there? Peggy Spence. Thank you. Theresa Thomas, the resident historian, as it were for me anyway. Thank you for being here, ma'am. Abraham Smith. Hello, sir. Thank you for being there. Thank you, thank you, thank you 1,000 times over. Thank you. That's right. I said it once. I said it 100 times probably by now. A.B. Jones is echoing it for us. Speak the truth even if your voice shakes. Speak the truth if your liver quivers and your knees knock. We are here to represent the truth. Thank you so much. Yes, the lies that were told. History is often written by the wealthy. That's right. They had the skills, the academia to be literate enough to read and write, and consequently the money to record and the devices to record history. And so they recorded it with their own slant. And the wealthy and well-to-do, I like the way you put it, Theresa. It was whitewashed. Yes, it was all whitewashed. There is no history without Black history in this country. You cannot talk about American history, can't discuss it. It's impossible if you talk about the truth. Herman Webb is with us. Thank you, sir. Who else do we have that I can speak to very quickly? Jasmine Jackson is there. Hello. Yes, yes. Veronica Jackson is there. Hello. I was thinking about you last week, I think it was. It's good to see your name there. Yeah, yes, sir. You be blessed right back. Herman Webb, thank you. All right, let's get into our program tonight. Everyone use your favorite emoji. Remember, lift every voice. We're lifting our voices because every voice has a place. Every voice has significance. That means your voice as well. And how long do we do it? Until earth and heaven ring. And that means that there's a non-ending significance somewhere. There's a place of agreement for all the various races, all the various nationalities, and it should be around that of harmony, sing with harmony. We're joining with others with a united cause, and then that of liberty. This is the non-ending purpose for which we're here. I'm Georgia Matthews II. If you're new to the channel, I'm the black shirted, not the same black shirt, but I wear a non-themed black shirt every Monday evening that we're here for the program. And I do that for a reason. Number one, to remind myself that we will be bereft as a people, that we will be in bereavement as a people of our own ethnicity. Yes, the absolute wiping out of people of color. That is the machination of many people, whether they come out and say it or not. They imported the black man here from Africa to build this country because the work was rigorous, as they came to discover. And as a result, they want to wipe out. They wish they could send all black people back to Africa. That would be too much of of an arduous task. But they would love to just squelch us as if we were never here. So I wear the black on Monday evenings to remind myself of that. And then secondly, to remind us as a people that, as Biggie Smalls said once, there will be some slow singing and flower bringing if we are not united. If we don't find a united purpose, we don't find a cause, if we're not voiced, if we're not taking up a stance, a position. There is a plan underway to take our people out. Thank you so much for coming in. And so I'm here, and I'm the black shirted egalitarian. And that word is an important word because it means a person or a people who are asserting the equal value of the belief in the equality of all people across the board. I do not believe in racial superiority. That means white-skinned persons cannot be better than black-skinned persons, and just as by that same token, black-skinned persons and everyone in between the racial graph cannot be any better or any worse, because by one blood, all other things being equal, all blood is transferable. If the blood types match, regardless of the ethnicity, the blood can be transferred because God made all people by one or out of one blood, which means God has not in his mind anything of racial superiority. And if that's true, and it is, there's no such thing in the mind of God as racial inferiority. It was Dr. King Yes, it was Dr. King who said, let me give you a little test. This is a pop quiz. All right. If the killing of humans is called homicide, if the killing of an individual by themselves is called suicide, the killing, the extermination of women is called femicide. What is the word that represents the killing off of a demographic, a specific nationality, ethnicity, or color of people? What is the word that covers that particular category? If it isn't femicide, if it isn't suicide, if it isn't homicide, what is that word? I want you to type it in the chat, and everyone type it in as quickly as you can. It was Dr. King who said, on silence. Theresa Thomas is right there. She typed it so quick. Everyone just type it. It's genocide or genocides. Yes. Regina Lavender, Theresa Thomas has typed it in. Abraham Smith. That's right. Genocide. Who else could type it in? That's right. Veronica Jackson. Thank you. Thank you, Loretta Curley. I see you joining us, and thank you for that thing you did for me yesterday. I really appreciate it. And thank you so very much. Who else? Yes. All right. It was Dr. King on the issue of silence said three things, well, many other things, but number one, he said, what will be remembered in the end will not be the words of our enemies, but in fact, the silence of our friends. Thank you, Herman Webb. He's typed it in. Jasmine Jackson has typed in. It's the word genocide. Come on, everyone. Barbara Grant has joined us. And thank you. There's nothing in the world, secondly, more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. And we're here to deal with those themes that impact humanity. I've come to find that there are many people who are in the former categorization, those who are just sincerely ignorant. They have never been exposed to anything. They've never been taught anything other than racism. They've never been taught anything other than racial superiority. That's all they know. But then there's that more dangerous group, if you'll ask me, and that's the group of the conscientious stupids, because racism itself is a stupid notion. It was created. You think about race. God never used that word race or racism because race always represents what? Competition, finishing first. Above all others, a separation between a winner and a loser. That is a construct. It's a North American construct because North America or the United States or just America is the most racist place in all the earth. I would believe. I've traveled some, and it's the greatest country. I will say that. I will hasten to say that, but yet the most racist place that I've ever visited. Yes, I know there are issues. Thank you, Deacon Smith. I see it. I see it. Thank you for coming in. There are places where you think about South America. You think about the Winnie Mandela and the Nelson Mandela situation, the apartheid. Yes, racist, but yet America was started on the theme. And I've talked about that at the very beginning, but let's just keep going. And then finally, Dr. King said this: our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Why do we speak? Well, supremacist. Allow me to give you some synonymous terms. What? White supremacy, white superiority, white nationalism, Christian nationalism, Christian patriotism. These are all dog whistles. These are all coverage titles for white supremacy. These are coverage titles that are even in the church for racism, right? So we speak because you have to ask yourself the question: what happens when the racist is over education or any of the other seven pillars that represent the construct of a society? Okay, so we're here to deal with all those pillars of society. Of course, we call them mountains. They're really systems, the systems of influence that shape the world. Religion, okay, Buddhism, Baha'ism, Christianity, Islam, These are the religions of the world, just a few, that shape the way men think. And then family, mothers and fathers, or in some cases only mothers, in some cases only fathers. But whatever comes out of that home is a powerful influencer of the way people are couched to think. And then number three, of course, education. Then you have that of government, civics, voting, politics. Then of course, arts. The celebrations, recreation, movies, sports, entertainment, media. Of course, social media is a big thing. Thank you, Frank Campbell. Thank you, Jesse Clark. And then lastly, business and economics always go together. So I want to give you a poem. I've done several programs under this cover, The Silence of Our Friends. But I thought it good to kind of lead into what I want to talk about tonight. And I don't want to be a whole long time in doing so. This was a poem. Uh, the longer work is called, I think it was called The Confession, by a former German Lutheran pastor. Now I want you to pay attention to me. I've never said this before. I've talked to you about Martin Niemöller, Niemöller, Niemöller. I've talked to you about him before. I've mentioned this poem before, but I want you to see tonight if you can find your place here. He was a former German Lutheran pastor. I've told you that before. But what I haven't told you, he was an early supporter. Please hear me. He was an early supporter of who? Adolf Hitler. He was a German Lutheran pastor who was an early supporter of Adolf Hitler, who later became, please pay attention, who later became imprisoned. He was a supporter. It's like these people who believe in this administration in this country, number 45 and now number 47. People who are so duped into hysteria that they cannot see the truth. They can't discern the truth from a lie. This pastor, and I didn't know this. I researched a little bit further. Who was responsible for writing this poem? The larger work, The Confession. The shorter work was the poem "First They Came" for me. Uh, first they First They Came is the name of the title of the poem. First They Came. But watch this now. He was an early supporter of Adolf Hitler, who once Hitler became in power, imprisoned him for opposing the Nazi regime. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Am I talking to myself? Are you all out here? You see, one beautiful thing, and this is the reason they want to do away, this present administration, when I say they, that's who I'm referring to, this present administration, wants to do away with the Department of Education, is because, once again, it just takes us backwards as a people. A lot of these things with Project 2025, that nearly 1,000-page document, that is the playbook from Adolf Hitler to Ronald Reagan to now number 45, number 47, written and sponsored by the Heritage Foundation. All of these persons principally worked for number 45 when he was 45 in office. And over 200 plus contributors, over, I think, that many companies that sponsored the Heritage's work for Project 2025. All right, what I want you to hear me say is this: there are always steps, and I'm going to get to this, steps to a dictatorship. That you move. Germany was a democracy. You had three principal officers in Germany before it became Nazi Germany, before Adolf Hitler. Hitler had steps to remove democracy and replace it with the Führer, which really was authoritarianism, which was a dictatorship. All right, here's the poem. Are you all ready? Are you all listening to me? Are you on the bus? First, they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the unionists, excuse me. And I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Martin Niemöller. See, this powerful statement warns against inaction, indifference, neutrality, being silent because you don't want to stir up confusion. You come on. I was talking to one of our members who's opened a business, and we did some business with him for the men's advanced fellowship this past Saturday. And he waited around to speak to me. He said, Pastor, we have to be, and he said, I just thank you for it. We have to be unapologetically Black, representing our own businesses, representing supporting ourselves, representing, doing good business with each other, because there is a demographic, and I believe it's the allowed plan of God to cause a resurgence, a renaissance of sorts of people of color getting it. We understood it at the time during the massacres. And I had a man who was commenting in our men's fellowship, and he was visiting. He was talking about how we destroyed. I wanted to stop. And I said, sir, there's so much you have not researched. There's so much you do not know. And this is not a put down, with all due respect, but you have to understand. He said, he came too soon, too near to today's current. And he said that, we only destroy our own things. We destroy our own business. No. Yes, we did. Rodney King and all that, because we didn't have a part. We weren't invested. When Dr. King was killed or assassinated, murdered by the United States government, excuse me, it may be saying too much. But anyway, we burned down Watts in down the street from Los Angeles and so forth, and we did it in major cities of America. But before that, during the historically speaking, just during the period post-slavery, when the Civil War ended, the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation, the Gettysburg Address, all that stuff was about whether slavery in the South would continue, which was bigger than banking, which was bigger than railroads, which was bigger than tobacco crop. It was bigger than sugarcane harvesting. It was bigger than the power media. It was bigger than the telephones that were coming into play. Put every industry together, and it wasn't as economically powerful as slavery in the South. Well, the deal was this. When the Civil War came to an end, approximately 1869, from 1865, I think it started a latter part of 1862, 1863. It's about a two and a half year war. The war between the North and the South, the Union versus the Confederate, what else is it called? The Civil War, other names, whatever have you. The American army was the North, okay, and so, but after that, you had this mindset where we had a brief period, not even a decade. It was nine years in some months, which was called Reconstruction in America. And during Reconstruction, Black people built what we now have and now know as historically Black colleges and universities. It had to be the power of God, because you're released from plantations with nothing. No mule, no horse, not even a broken nag, an old horse, no land. And then when you did have land, it was called sharecropping, which was just slavery by another name. No seeds, no clothes, no homes. I mean, you working for the man today. At the end of the Civil War, you have nothing. How do you start? But these people built institutions, and not only that, they built businesses in the South. It was crazy. And the U.S. government, you research massacres during the Reconstruction, and you're going to see probably probably, if my memory serves me properly, more than 50 just massacres and 50 dissolutions and destructions of black businesses in this country, because the mindset was, if these uh, darker skinned people, our dark counterparts, the whites would say, rise up in business. We've already seen them build the country. We've seen their ingenuity. And it was the slaves that actually taught the Europeans who had come to this country and robbed it from the Aborigines, from the Native Americans who were here, those then referred to as Indians. The slaves taught them how to function. They didn't know how to plant crops. They didn't know how to take care of themselves. They weren't even bathing regularly. They had no idea how to survive. The slave taught. Okay, that's not my subject. Let me get back on top. What's the warning here? And why am I introducing this poem to you? This quote serves as a stark reminder of the consequences. And please type that word in, con, CSEQUENCES, consequences. Voting has a consequence. Oh, thank you, Theresa Thomas. She said Union versus Confederate, Civil War, 1861, 1865. Then Reconstruction period was 1865, 1877. So what was that? That's that 12 years? Okay, I said roughly 10 years, but I'm in the ballpark. That's the history people, and thanking them for being here, because that keeps us accurate. So that's very good. Thank you so much. Consequences. Voting has consequences, and not voting has consequences. Um, the party you identify with. I was challenged in one of the meetings this past weekend. The guy said, well, you all sound like you're just, with the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party was responsible for passing the legislation under Barack Obama for gay persons, same gender loving persons to marry. And that's a disgrace against the Bible. Okay, yes. But God always gave man choices. I said that to the brother. He had nothing else to say. I said, God gave man and woman the choice of obeying him or giving up the entire planet. They chose to give up the entire planet, and God never legislated their choices. People have the choice to be right or wrong, and God honors that. To go to heaven or go to hell, God honors that. God wants them all in heaven, but if you choose to do something else, God gives you free, what we call agency, theologically. We call it free volition. And the Republicans want to take that away. They want to, and see, if they start deciding for adult people where you go, how you live, how you love, and some of these things, maybe those choices, your identification with a party has consequences. Yes. No, I don't agree with everything that happened under Barack Obama's administration, but I sure don't agree with everything that's happening under this present administration. I don't agree with much of it, probably 90+% of that. So no administration is going to be perfect. I think for the voice of God, with our responsibility here, we have to find the best administration that nearly matches our beliefs from the scriptures. But let's get back on target. So this quote again, this poem, I'm going to read it again, then I'm going to move on. Serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of silence. Have you ever thought about that? Silence is consequential. Yeah, well, I'm just not going to say nothing. Well, you say nothing, you just said something for the opposite party. You said something for the other way, the other side. If you didn't fight for right, you just fought for you. If you didn't fight for right, if you didn't protect right, you just laid down for wrong. You gave wrong the upper hand. Yes. Pamela Dobbins says, you mean like the crying soybean farmers who voted for 45/47? Yes, they're crying now. They're crying now. The man told you what he was all about. He hid it not. He told you he was going to be the dictator. He said, just for one day. and I'm going to have retribution for everyone that opposed me. I have something for you. Just stay with me. Just that's right, Barbara. Not speaking is speaking. Not voting is voting. The consequences of silence and complicity during times of oppression, highlighting how a lack of empathy and a collective action can enable widespread injustice. That's why we're here. That's the only reason that I'm taking the time to try to put this information out here and try to provoke the church. That's really where my assignment is. Those who say they love Jesus, somehow loving Jesus has been, how do you say it, twisted, jaded, uh, uh, enriched, entrenched. That's what the word I'm looking for. Entrenched with the idea of silence. Well, I just pray about it, because we can't make no noise. Why not? Jesus was the biggest noise maker, the most popular preacher of his day. Everywhere he went, crowds followed because he was so controversial. And he said to those Jews that believed on him, St. John chapter 8, verse 31, and then you shall know the truth, the abject truth of a matter about itself, not subjective truth, not subjected to my color, my race, my political affiliations, none of that. You shall know the truth about a matter within itself. And the truth that you know will make you, not set you, will make you free. It forces freedom. And the church, if anything, has to be about the truth. And it matters not whose toes get stepped on, um, idiomatically speaking. It matters not. Matters not. Yes, Regina Lavender, Harriet Tubman, and Nat Turner couldn't be silent, but they faced many consequences on the path to acquire freedom. Has a cost. Absolutely. Freedom has a cost. And it starts with not being silent. I mean, if you're silent, you're still going to pay a cost. All right, let me read the poem once again. First, they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionist, and I did not speak out because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And that's, again, German pastor Martin Niemöller. Again, this was a man who was a German Lutheran pastor and early supporter of the infamous Adolf Hitler, who later was imprisoned by Adolf Hitler because he opposed the Nazi regime. He didn't see that Hitler had insidious, almost invisible steps that he was laying out to become a dictator. Now, where am I going now? Thank you, Frank Campbell. Controversy is what spread the gospel. That's exactly right. It was out of controversy. Long past are the days of believers thinking that your comfort is going to get you where God wants you to be. Long gone are those days. Everything that God has for you is going to come either out of the struggle, the opposition of your flesh, your mind, soul, or other people, other ideations, other ideologies, whatever else have you. So let's talk about the steps to dictatorship. Let's talk about, that's right, Regina Lavender. That's why we must be vigilant and put on the full armor of God. I like that. Yes. You just got to know who you are in Christ. And the church has been duped, reduced down, stupefied, mummified, and almost not even counted in our society because people refuse to open their eyes and see what is right before them. Um, let's go on. A country's slide toward dictatorship can follow several paths, but a common progression involves a leader Listen to me, please. Consolidating power. See, my whole objective tonight is to get to what is the big deal about the governmental shutdown. I won't get to it tonight. Maybe next Monday or the Monday thereafter. Let's start again. Steps to dictatorship. A country's slide toward dictatorship can follow several paths, but a common progression involves a leader consolidating power, undermining democratic institutions, manipulating public information and opinion. Question: is that what we're seeing every day coming from this present administration? I'm just asking you a question. Is the leader attempting to consolidate power? This is the same man who told you I could go down Fifth Avenue in New York, which is a very busy place and never stops, and shoot someone and no one would say anything. Consolidating power. This is the man who has had the nod 6-3, I want to say, vote at the SCOTUS Supreme Court US that basically has given him the right to do whatever he wills. This is a man with, what is it, 32? Is it 32, 34, 35? How many, what is the word I'm looking for? Not indictments, felonies, proven felonies in office, elected into office with a 32 felony count. This is a man. Okay, we're just talking about, first of all, number one, if we're going to slide into dictatorship from democracy, the leader must consolidate power. This is what Adolf Hitler understood. If I'm going to turn Germany from 34, thank you, 34 felony counts. Thank you all, Abraham, Pamela, thank you. Theresa Thompson, yes, he is following the steps. Thank you, Regina. 34 felonies and counting. That's right. That's important because he's still under investigation. I think it's the state of New York. So my point is this. Is this leader attempting to consolidate power? That means all the power. See, power. What I mean when I'm talking about power? Checks and balances. The checks and balances that our three-pronged democracy, right, it is supposed to operate through, of, and by way of the United States Constitution. This is why you don't just have a president and he's calling all the shots. No, because the president, by and large, has to operate with the Congress, which is a combination of the U.S., not state, but U.S. senators and the U.S. representatives. And then, of course, that has to be balanced by the legislative government. What do you have? What is it? Three-pronged government. You have the judicial, the legislative, and the executive. The legislative part is the under part who sets all the laws. Judicials, these are the judges and the adjudicators of the law. And then you have the executive, which is basically the United States president. Okay. But what is he doing? Attempting to consolidate that power so you don't have checks and balances. I wish people could see this. Yes. I'm coming for you, Regina Lavender. She says, once the United States has lost in freedom of speech, we will be in a dictatorship fully. This is why this thing with Charlie Kirk has turned into a clown show, because this was a man who said whatever he wanted to say. Someone challenged me. I said, "Now, listen, you have not researched Charlie Kirk. I only gave you in 2 programs everything Charlie Kirk said himself. I did not give you my thoughts about what he said. I only played for you clips and read to you direct quotes from Charlie Kirk. You cannot make racist statements. I'll love you. I hate the way you were killed. This is not in support of that at all. But you can't live the life of a racist and then die and be remembered as one who loved all people. You can't have both. James, the half brother of Jesus, told us that you cannot have bitter water, that is poisonous water, and drinkable water come from the same fountain. You can't have both. Jesus said, either make the tree good and its fruit will be good, or make the tree corrupt and its fruit will be corrupt. You can't have both. But the freedom of speech issue came as a result of Jimmy Kimmel making a few, what I didn't think were challenging comments at all. And immediately he was taken off the air. Many educators have lost their jobs in the post-secondary education fields of education. Some medical people have lost their job because they said something that was incendiary or maybe challenging. But what is freedom of speech? What is the American Constitution all about? So why and then why is this? You talk about the consolidation of power. Why is this president going after everyone who has opposed him? What? Why is he? Why is this so deliberate? Why is this so intentional? Because he's playing the role of consolidating power so that there can be no one who has the courage to withstand him. He already has the white evangelicals. None of the big boys, not one that I can see, uh, is standing up saying this is wrong. They can preface it with, Mr. President, I love you, but this is wrong. I didn't hear him say that with Charlie Kirk. I didn't hear him say it with this president. I saw them laying hands on him and praying when he was first elected into office at number 45 slot. I see the same thing with number 47. Where are the voices? What happened to cry loud and spare not and show my people, lift up your voice like a trumpet in Zion and show my people their transgression, whole house of Israel, their sins? What happened to that? Yes, that's where I'm coming, Theresa. SCOTUS, that's Supreme Court U.S. of the U.S. SCOTUS ruled, and that's what I was talking about. The 6-3, I want to say, was the vote. Ruled that POTUS, President of the U.S., is immune from prosecution for breaking laws while serving in office. That's a consolidation that gives him the power to do whatever he wants. This is why this man walks around and does whatever he wants, disrespects whoever he wants, and then has brought in the U.S. military on its own citizens. That's another move that Adolf Hitler made in converting democratic Germany to Nazi Germany. It's the same move. What would stop all of this from happening was the vote against Trump and listening to Vice President Harris and Obama. Many failed. Yes, we failed. It wasn't like we weren't over here telling people. It wasn't like I wasn't telling people the way I was voting, because I think actual leadership, true leadership, is not being given over to what people think about you, but being able to do what is right and then tell people your take on what is right. And not just preaching like you're about to pass out in a church on a stage, but you can't tell people what is right from a scriptural perspective and explain it scholastically or academically about the mindset of God on voting issues. I just see ministers that just shy away from it. They're afraid. I think they're afraid of what I don't know. Of what I don't know. Yeah, Frank Campbell says a fear factor. Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah. How can two walk together unless they agree, Barbara? Yes, you're right. Let's get back to the subject here. So a leader, number one, consolidating power. That is consolidating the Congress, the judges, the SCOTUS or Supreme Court, as well as the executive branch. Just consolidating all that. And that one man has all of the power of the three other branches of government. The one man, instead of three branches, one man unifies all this power. So there are no checks and balances. Nobody can check you. And then secondly, undermining democratic institutions. This is why We go after people who have challenged him. We go after. We pulled. Can you imagine this? This has never been done in history that I've ever read about. That this man, this administration, let's just keep it as clean as I can. This administration has pulled the security assignment of former then Vice President Kamala Harris. They try to make a marker out of the name Kamala. No, her name is Kamala Harris. He's pulled the security detail. Why? Because she opposed him. She told us the truth about him. She said in X time, if this man is elected as president and he's doing exactly what, and I listened well, she said he would do. Former President Obama attempted to tell American people, and there are black people that look like me and some of you who still can't see, who still cannot see. And, it's the same thing when the bus boycott happened in Montgomery. All people of color who were impacted by the sitting in the back of the bus, the getting up out of your seat if the bus was too full of white people, you had to stand, they sat, regardless of whether they're male or female. If you were black, you stood, they sat. And then the bus boycott, I want to say 1958, 1959. This predates me, but thank God for reading. There were people that it was an inconvenience to boycott the bus system, but there were black people still riding the bus. You don't get them all. Oh, because we're so far removed. And see, the common denominator is, if this is not reflected in your church by your spiritual leader, I think it falls apart in terms of the significance of the people who follow spiritually, who have a degree of spirituality. If the spiritual leader doesn't take a position. And so these people were walking to work. These people were riding bicycles to work. These people were riding with each other, the ones that did have vehicles, and they shut down the busing industry in Montgomery, Alabama. It lasted for about a year, year and a half, or whatever, 2 years maybe. But look what happened. Now, what I wish would have happened, what I wished we could have collectively done, was open up during the boys boycott black busing companies. We could have put our money together. We opened universities during the time of Reconstruction. We had a little bit more money. I wasn't alive then, but we had a little bit more money. But boy, what would have happened if, when the boys boycott in 1958, 59, whatever it was over, you had 2 or 3 or 10 or 12 black owned buses? That would have changed the course of history in Montgomery. You see, when people find out you don't need them, they're all cowards. White evangelicals falling in line. Yeah. They're not leading anymore. They're following. And Jesus said, you're the light of the world, not the tail light. You're supposed to be the headlight. Yeah. When he comes for the white evangelicals, no one be there to speak for them. And see, that's what happened to this minister, Martin Niemöller. He was a minister, a German minister. And when the script was fully flipped, he was imprisoned by the one Führer, Adolf Hitler, that he once supported, because he didn't see it coming. Yeah, Trump doesn't care about what is morally right. They believe that he was sent by God. They do. Of course, we're all sent here by God to do something, Regina. Thank you. He remarked he can do whatever he wants to do. That's what he said. Authoritarianism, fascism, that's right. Bernice, 47, has pulled back the curtains. He has exposed the heart of America. Absolutely. And now he's unapologetic. And we have to be. No checks and balances, no limits on the president. Absolutely, Teresa. His days are numbered, age 79. God sees it all. I think he's a little older than 79. I want to say, isn't Trump 80 now? Is he 79? Somebody check that, the number on that. I thought he turned 80 this year. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe 79 is correct. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm pressing them on. Open our eyes that we may see what's going on. Yes, they did. Unity. Yes, Montgomery Bush boycott. I knew Teresa was going to get me on that one, get us right. 1955 to 1966, 11 years. December 1955, 1966? Or did you mean 1956? I don't think the bus boycott lasted 11 years. I think it was like a year and a half. Check me on that, Theresa. Maybe you intended to. Jay is there. Powerful teaching. Yeah, I'm coming on through. No, he's 79, Regina. Okay. All right. I had him at 80, but okay. But ill health, no matter what they say. All right. So here we go. So number one, to the steps to dictatorship, uh, consolidating power. I've talked about that. Undermining democratic institutions. You'll see that. Number three, manipulating public information and opinion. Yes. What did they call? Thank you, Theresa. Thank you. Yeah. 1956. Yeah. She intended 56. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. It was about a year and a half, or just shy of 2 years, I think. 56. Yeah. I got you. Yeah. So Veronica Jackson, yeah, he's 79. Yeah. But the thing is, I want you to catch me here. What was manipulating public? This is a little pop quiz. What was manipulating public opinion and public information called in Nazi Germany under Hitler? What was that same thing called? That's the fourth step. What was it called? Somebody type it in the chat. This is a pop quiz. What was it called? We got you, Theresa. 1955, 1956. All right, what was it called? Thank you for the correction. What was it called? Come on. What was it called? Manipulating public information and opinion. Those are many words for the steps to dictatorship, but there was one word that coined that phrase in Nazi Germany. Thank you, Loretta Evans Curley. Propaganda. I started saying begins with letter P, but I didn't want to help you. Propaganda. Loretta Evans Curley, Kanisha Lewis, thank you. Propaganda. It's the science of lying. This man did these people will lie to you and keep it moving. And there are people that are in the church that is supposed to be the pillar and ground of truth. It is supposed to be the essence from which truth comes, that don't realize and recognize when they're being lied to. Thank you, Janika. Propaganda. Thank you, Pamela. Propaganda. It's intentionally lying to the public through the media systems so that you manipulate public opinion through manipulating public information. Where did you first begin hearing about this term called fake news? Fake news is really truth about news that this administration and its chief administrator doesn't want you to believe about them. So he calls it fake news. And that's right, Janika, and believe their lies. It's crazy. So this is why you have to have standard bearers of truth. This is why this podcast is important. This is why your church should be a hamlet of truth. This is why you can't be silent. You should be a person who is vocal about truth, because there are too many people that believe the lies, because this was handed down to us via slavery. And this is the reason that it was illegal. It was a law that slaves could not be taught to read and write, because if I cannot read and I'm illiterate enough so that I cannot write, I cannot research truth, and the truth will only become what you tell me, what you indoctrinate me to believe. And this has been handed down to people that look like me. We believe what other people that are outside of our race tell us, because that's what our ancestors were. That's the blow they were dealt. And then you had certain people who resisted this because they knew certain things. I don't want to touch that. That's going, misinformation and disinformation. Thank you, Theresa. Form of destruction. Yes, Barbara. Fox 6 mainly, and other newscasters, particularly anything under that Fox network, Rupert Murdoch. Crazy. And then I'll come back to that. See, this process often accelerates during times of economic instability. Listen, see, you missed what I said. See, this is why we must shut down the government. I'm going to tell you what a shutdown means. Hopefully, I get to it. What is it? 7:30. I've been an hour. I'm going to have to cut it off. I'll come back next week, hopefully, or the week after, and I'll pick this. I'll pick this up. This process of the steps toward that lead towards dictatorship must have or must be accelerated by times of economic instability or social unrest, which a leader can exploit to promise order and strength. See, it's like a person, what are they called? A pyromaniac, a person who starts a fire and then stands around in the crowd and watches it burn, and then will even help to put the fire out. All the while, this you started the fire. That's what we have in front of us. Uh, uh, Deflection, Theresa. Thank you. He projects on others what he's actually doing. Absolutely. He'll do that in a minute. Lie on somebody. That was so and so. That's the Democrats. Blah, 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 blah. Uh, I make the statement nowadays people choose to be ignorant. That's right. You don't have to be ignorant because we can read. So why does he why could he care less about a government shutdown? Why? Because if you shut this thing down, that's one of the first opportunities to slip this thing over into a democracy. Now, much of this has been prophesied by the Bible. I just want you to know what's going on. I want you to be able to speak intelligently about it and speak to the issues. You see, when there's social unrest, why are you bringing the U.S. military into popular cities across America? Because you can start an unrest. He wants to create, this government wants to create a racial war. Because number one, if there's a racial war going on, and we get to what over 2020, when is the next election? That was last year, 2024. So 4 years later, 2028. He doesn't have to come out of office. If the country is in a war, and even more, especially if it's a civil war, if it's a war within itself, the president doesn't have to come out of office. Y'all don't like me. I can feel it. I can feel the maybe you're processing. Jay and his wife said, "Hey, we're processing. Take it easy. We're processing." Over the Calvary guys, hey, we're processing. Yeah, economic instability and or social unrest, which a leader can exploit to promise order and strength. Yeah, it's crazy to me. So before you seize the power, before a leader seizes total control, they frequently use populist rhetoric to gain an initial foothold. And I think people just can't get, they don't even see what's going on. It's so prevalent, so obvious. Number one, rise as an insurgent outsider. The aspiring dictator presents themselves as an alternative to a corrupt or ineffective establishment. This is why he blames the previous administration for everything. Biden and Harris. He blames them for everything. He goes back and pulls up, unearths former President Barack Obama, blames him, blames his wife for everything, because you have to be able to take it that way. This is a slippery slope. I see you, Jay. I know, right? The aspiring dictator presents themselves as an alternative to a corrupt or ineffective establishment. This resonates with people who are dissatisfied with the political system. So he came at a time when there was political unrest, and so you just start blaming everyone and you say to them, "I'm better than them." And see, there are a lot of people, particular people who call, said, "I'm voting for Trump because number one, I can't vote for a woman." That is so crazy. Your mother was a woman. Let's talk about it. And then there were black people said, "I can't vote for a black woman," and your mother was a black woman if you're black, because chances are good. Crazy to me. Then number two, he entered into the political arena this time around when there were people who said, I'm dissatisfied with the economy. Eggs are expensive. Gasoline is high, which presidents don't have anything to do with that by and large. All the while, his son-in-law uh, became a billionaire by selling what natural asset? Now, I'm going to ask you now, what natural asset did Jared, his son-in-law, married to his daughter, sell? All the while you weren't paying attention, the son-in-law and the daughter became billionaires. That's what the letter B. All the while, rhetoric was going on, and he's blaming everyone. And they sold what? America's. Somebody typed in oil. That's right, Regina Lavender. You right there. The number one oil producing, let's just say, American oil producing well, he sold it. And to whom did he sell it? Isn't nobody what the current events? To whom did he sell it? See, you have to, all these are steps. Number two, and I'm just going to close here. Number two, three, and four. This is very quick. Number two, the promise of stability during turmoil. Remember, I told you about the pyromaniac? The leader capitalizes on a crisis, such as economic depression or wartime chaos, to offer simple solutions and a vow to restore order. That's why he came and he told you, he said, look, I can stop the war between Russia and who am I trying to say? Russia, and I'm drawing a blank. Oh my goodness. But he said, I can stop it in 24 hours. And then he said, I'll get over and I'll end the Middle Eastern conflict. I'll end it in 24 hours. And he and Netanyahu could be twins. I mean, in terms of their actions. Yeah. Then number three, Ukraine. Thank you, Veronica. Russia, Ukraine. He said, I'll end this in 24 hours. They're still fighting. What was he doing? He was just planting the seeds of doubt. And then there were some people who said, I'm voting for him because he's a great businessman. Number one, friends, how can you be a great businessman and you have been bankrupted and you lost at a casino game? You had a casino. How can you bankrupt a casino? He's been bankrupt at least 6 times. And this man was a millionaire as a young boy because his father, who was the one in New York, for which in 1971 or 74, the act which passed into law about equal housing came as a result of Donald John Trump's father refusing for black people to rent his property. It was in 1971, 1974, one of those. The Fair Housing Act came as a result of his own father. This man was so wealthy that when he was preparing to die, he left all of his wealth to Donald John Trump with the thought that he was going to share it with his siblings, and he did none of that. None of that. How are you going to be a good businessman when, I think he was 12 or 13. He was a multi-millionaire, and now alleged billionaire. Yeah, yeah. Vladimir Putin is not studying that man. Thank you. Yeah, studying. I like that, Janika. No. Uh, we'll get into some Bible history later on. Then number three, they must undermine the democratic processes. They may question the legitimacy of elections. We saw that. Yeah, Fred Trump, his father. Thank you. And other democratic norms, framing them as rigged or biased to erode public trust in the system. We saw that. This man, over 60 times, was thrown out of 60 courts because he said during the 2020 election, I want to say it was, that the election system was rigged. He was robbed. The election was stolen. This is in the playbook, friends. Number four, he must create a narrative of us versus them. The leader identifies a minority group or political opponents to be used as a scapegoat for the country's problems. The Mexicans, the Latin speaking people. This is right in the playbook. Black people, brown people, bronze skinned people. You got to create havoc between the races by blaming people outside of your racial group as the problem. Hitler blamed the Jews. That's why I said I gave you the poem first, then they came for me. which is really us. Number four, there must be this created narrative of us versus them. The leader identifies a minority group or political opponents to be used as a scapegoat for the country's problems. This fosters a sense of grievance and unifies their base against a common enemy. You all, it's going to take me two more programs, I think, to get down to this real essence of why the government shut down. May I just define a government shutdown for you very quickly? I've been over an hour, so I have to close. A government shutdown occurs when Congress fails to pass or the president refuses to sign a spending bill to fund the federal government's operations. This results in a funding gap. See, nobody's feeling it just yet except the federal employees, because even the essential employees are still receiving a check. But the real mantra, the real driving force is to create a havoc within the federal government. I mean, there are more black people in the district, okay, DC, that have lost their jobs in these 8 months as president. Was it 10 months or however long it's been? But because this is the whole idea. DC has the largest concentration. What is it? Fredericksburg. What is the district area? The largest concentration of people of color who make the most money, the highest earners in the country. And why did he come into this presidency? What was it called under? Let me call him out of his name. Elon Musk. What were they doing? What was the little catchword they used, phraseology they used? And you saw black people, over 30,000, I think it is, women of color who are unemployed because of this short time this man is on. Why? Because you gotta create chaos, and it trickles down. It takes a while. But this is a long game. This results in a funding gap, the shutdown, that can cause several government functions to be temporarily disrupted. Government shutdowns are often resolved by Congress passing continuing resolutions, which provide short term funding while negotiations for a long term solution continue. Every shutdown since 1990 has ended with a continuing resolution. But I want to tell you, Doge, thank you, David. Yes, Department of Government, what was it? Expenses, government. What was it? DOGE, Department of Government. What was the last word? I could look it up, but I know you all already know. Yes, Department of Government Efficiency. Theresa, thank you. Prince George County, Maryland. Thank you, Janika. You on it, man. This audience, you all I'm telling you, you're an erudite group of people. I love being around you. Prince George County, Maryland. Just research it. This is why they want to take away from you and take away from us as a people the element of education, public education. Because if a black man, a black woman, brown man, brown woman, a bronze skinned man or woman is without education, then you just subject to believe me. And I'll tell you whatever I want you to know. Yes, if my memory serves me correctly, the last time he was in office, there was a government shutdown. Absolutely. The longest government shutdown that this country's ever seen was the last time he was in office. You can double check me on that. I'm pretty sure I'm right. And you're going to see something here. You're going to see something. Let's wrap up. I want to thank you all so much for your time. We'll come back. That's right, Connie. Vote, 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 vote. The midterms are coming up. Vote, vote, vote. If they have a Republican versus Democratic dog catcher, vote, 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 vote. I went back last week where I live. The runoff elections were last week or the week before in Birmingham. Tomorrow is your day. If you're there's unfinished business in Birmingham. If you live in Birmingham, the polls open tomorrow, Tuesday, from 7 a to 7 p. There's two positions for the school board. I want to say districts 8 I know District 8 in the school board and District 9 and maybe District 1 and 9, I want to say, for the Birmingham City Council. And there are two, I want to say two, that are up for grabs as far as the Board of Education, the school board in Birmingham. So tomorrow's your day. Get back out there. I went 2 weeks ago where I live, and I've been voting anytime there's an election. If I'm in town, I'm voting. If I'm going to be out of town, I'll do it by absentee ballot. Done it before. We'll continue to do so because I can't be silent. It was business philosopher Jim Rohn who said sincerity. That's right. Last government shutdown was in 2019, lasted 45 days. There you are. Thank you, Kanisha. Jim Rohn, sincerity is not a test of truth. We must not make this mistake. He must be right. He's so sincere. I'm adding this for clarity. People, if they lie long enough, they can be sincere liars. Jim Rohn said it is possible to be sincerely wrong. I'm adding to that. It's possible to be a sincere liar. Liar. Pants on fire. We can only judge truth by truth and sincerity by sincerity. Thank you, Shirley Miller. District 4, is that District 4? Vote tomorrow in Birmingham. Birmingham runoff election. Vote is your voice. District 4, is that school board? Shirley Miller is the other school board position I was looking for. Is it 4 and 8? And what is it in the Birmingham? Yeah, can't be silent either. Yeah, I'm with you. Gaslighting number 45/47. Yes, sir. No such thing as a sincere liar. Okay, I got you. Well, sincere in their approach of the lie. It's a play on words, but I got you. Absolutely. That's my combination word of absolutely and sure enough. Just as there's a time to keep silent, people would say, the scripture says something different. There's also a time to speak. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 7 is a time to keep silent, time to speak. We cannot afford to be silent from our various platforms ever in life again. Silence is, some would say to me, George Matthew, silence is golden. To them, I would say only until one's family and friends are negatively affected by wrongdoing. Others will say silence is great. To them, I will retort by saying, until someone's voice is necessary to save your life or corroborate your innocence. Silence is compromise. Silence is complicity with erroneous thinking. Silence is agreement with sanitized history. Silence is co-signing with controlled, racist, bigoted, and supremacist mentalities. Silence is equity and fairness in reverse. Silence is that element which robs supremacy, white supremacy, of ever hearing truth and having the opportunity to change. Silence is the voice of continuous ethnic mistreatment. Silence validates continuous ethnic mistreatment and inferior treatment. Silence is the approval of being objectified and maligned. Silence is often mistaken for agreement and consent. Silence is the devastation of a child being uncontrolled, untrained, and undisciplined by its, you know it, silent parent. Silence is one level of maintaining and perpetuating cloaked ignorance. Silence is the ostrich syndrome. You know, stick your head in the proverbial sand and just pray, and Jesus will make it all right. And when it's better, I'll retrieve my head from the sand and I'll just go my way. Silence is that thing we must deal with where black, bronze, and brown children must know how to correctly respond to racism, which they can only know when we are not silent. Truth does not require the silence of error to be in control. Error, however, demands the silence of truth to take control of and dominate any situation. Speaking the truth is not the crime, withholding it is. Be silent only if speaking serves to boost your ego or seek validation. Blessings and peace to you and yours. Everyone type something in the chat before you leave. Use your favorite emoji. And until next week at this very same time, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, you remember we can never afford to be silent again. God gave you a voice for a reason. Blessings and peace to you and yours.
Lift every voice.